A Wisconsin state senator is drawing new outrage from Americans over her shocking remarks on the state's Senate floor. Just listen to this Democrat's fiery response about the spread of crime from big cities to quiet suburbs.
It would be nice sometimes when some of these policies are made, if some of the people that were being directly impacted were being brought to the table. Because to say that these additional police are needed because crime is spilling out into the suburbs, what about these babies who are being lost right in their own cities, the suburbs? Because they don't know a thing.
Okay, first of all, a lot of people who are in the suburbs now once lived in the communities that you claim to represent and care about. And if they're talking about more policing need to take place in these areas, they have an understanding because they actually experienced this firsthand. Because they were able to elevate their lives, move their children or their families to another location that has less crime, does not mean that they cannot relate to what's happening in the urban communities right now. And you cannot say F the suburbs as if they don't understand, because if they're saying that crime is spilling over to our communities, then you need to listen to that. If it's spilling over to the suburbs and it's already overrun in urban communities, shouldn't that be even more of a reason to consider another way to go about policing these areas? Right now, it seems like where we go wrong is we get extremely emotional and discount and disregard people who are not speaking our same language, so to speak. So I'm gonna let you go ahead and finish, but I really want y'all to see this right here. Don't leave yet. I need y'all to like this video and share it.
Because they don't know a thing about how life is in the city.
Young lady, I grew up in Southeast DC, all right? Most of my family still live there. If they're not in Southeast, they are in the DMV. They moved to Maryland. They moved to the suburbs because that was the goal. The goal was to get the hell out. You mean to tell me that the people who already suffered and lost many of their family members from people being shot, from drugs, from people being stabbed, from losing people, people going missing, people have lived in those communities already. And now they moved their families out by the grace of God. And now they have something to say. And you're saying that they don't know a damn thing. Yes, they do. You can't be that biased and that ignorant to believe that simply because somebody has elevated their lives in some type of way, shape, or form, that they don't get it. Even the people who have never lived in the hood before. They never lived in white trailer parks or the worst white communities or the worst black communities or the worst Hispanic, Asian communities before, that they don't understand what's going on in the rest of the world simply because they haven't been there before. That's stupid. Come on, young lady. You gotta be smarter than that.
Kaylee, there are multiple issues with that.
Yeah, first, the crassness. Second, this is a basket of deplorables moment. We're just going to cast away part of society. We're constituents, we're Americans, those of us who live in the suburbs. But also, it's just politically dumb. Suburban women are a powerhouse voting bloc. You could make the argument, as Brookings Institute does, I don't know if I entirely agree with them, but it's a good point. Biden's victory came from the suburbs, okay? So this suburban women cohort that we on the right will try to court, you're just going to toss them aside, F the suburbs, go with that. See how it works out.
Ian, she's underscoring the point that those in the suburbs are articulating, which is that crime is unacceptable and every life is equal. And she's doing it in a manner that undermines the decorum and the sanctity of our elected government, unfortunately undermining any type of credibility she has by doing so.
That's exactly right. I mean, crime is crime wherever it is, and policies need to be enacted that protects people from crime. But unfortunately, what you're seeing in the subtext of what she's saying is a lot of the policies that are being enacted by these so-called progressive prosecutors, right, going soft on dangerous felons or dangerous criminals for restorative purposes. Well, where does that spill over to? It spills over into the suburbs because ultimately it's a soft target, right? Criminals aren't going to go find some, wealthy estate protected by dozens of security cameras to go rob TVs or do whatever. They're going to go to the suburbs where there are less police officers, where there's less law enforcement than there may be in the city or there may be in private residences that are protected. So this is dangerous.
Here's the thing, too, for the lady that said, F the suburbs. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't understand. Let me tell you something. What this gentleman right here is saying is 1,000% the truth. The have-nots go to where the haves are, and they take their sugar honey iced tea. The have-nots go to where the haves are, and they take their sugar honey iced tea. They don't take anything from anybody who ain't got anything to take. After a while, stealing from people who in the hood is just like, what's the point? I'm risking my life over nothing. So instead, we're going to get inside of a car. It's going to be like 5 or 6 of us, and we're going to drive to a quiet, beautiful neighborhood where people have busted their asses, went to college, have a career, or they took up a trade and they did the right things, the things that they're supposed to do. They actually did it, and they put their families in a safer environment. And you got these 4 or 5 individuals from the urban cities and urban communities pulling up at 3 o'clock in the morning, walking by everybody's doors and just pulling everybody's handles. We're going to go and pull everybody's handles. Let's go pull handles. Let's go pull handles. And then you come out in the morning to go to work and you see all of your glove box got stuff all over the place. Inside of all of the departments in your car, stuff is all over the place. They taking whatever they can. Okay, they got gum in here, we're gonna take that. They got gloves in here, we're gonna take that. They got some change or a couple of dollar bills in here, we're gonna take that. Savages, just looking for whatever the hell they can possibly get. Going from suburban community to suburban community, doing the same exact thing. So these suburbanites do actually know what they're talking about. You mean to tell me that you don't even want to hear from other victims because you feel like you are queen victim and other victims don't understand your victimhood, so they just need to shut the hell up about your victimization? You feel like you won the Victim Olympics and other victims can't say a damn thing. Don't nobody want to drive to a daggone gas station to fill up their cars. I don't even let my wife go to the gas station anymore. Why? Because there's people that's lurking, waiting for somebody that they can take advantage of. I'd rather they do it to me. That's me. I'd rather they do it to me. I don't want any daggone young person, black, white, or other, from a bad community to pull up on my wife and scare the hell out of her and try to rob her because she has something that their family don't have, as if it's her fault. It's not our fault. We don't owe them Oh, I was about to cuss. I'm not.
It is a dangerous statement. It is a dangerous sentiment. And crime is spilling into the suburbs because of the policies that these kind of lawmakers support, which is let's go easy on everybody for restorative purposes.
And to draw out Kaylee's point a little further, Julie, the lack of the intellectual caliber there, because the suburbs could say the same thing to the cities. And given that many of those urban cities experiencing rot, they're not the capital. And the whole point is that in suburbia is where the tax base is higher. And it's from the capital that the funds flow to protect the city. So go ahead.
Let me tell you something. That is a fine woman. I said I wasn't going to do it, but I had to do it, man. I'm done.
Start this bidding war, because believe me, if the Suburbans take their tax dollars elsewhere, then all that's going to suffer is yet again the urbanites.
First of all, not only is this counterproductive to the values of the senator's constituents, this is also completely ignorant. Why? During the pandemic, how many people actually moved out of cities, just like myself, into the suburbs? I never thought it'd be it, but I am a suburban mom, and there are many suburban moms out there that did move out of the city, and we do know what the city's all about. That's the whole reason why we moved out. So we know very well the crime situation in our cities, and don't you dare insult the intelligence of suburban moms or suburban dads, suburbanites, period. I mean, it's an insult to the American people and of all citizens, whether you live in the city or the suburbs.
And here's the thing too. This is what her rhetoric, F the suburbs. They don't know what the hell they talking about. What? You do realize that there's a sugar honey iced tea ton of people in the suburbs who still vote Democrat because they have, and I'm not trying to disrespect anybody when I say this, they still have a connection with them. They vote not for their families, but they vote for the families that grew up like them. They vote for the people that they relate to still, who are still in the rut, still in the dark, still can't find a nickel to put together. They still vote for them. I know a bunch of them. I know people who are doing great, phenomenal, and they vote against their interests simply because they care and they love these other people. I think it's dumb, but I get it. I totally get it. But the fact that she's trying to separate people as if we're not all in this together. We are all in this together. I hope ain't nobody in the suburbs saying F them people in urban communities. F them. They deserve what they get. They don't know sugar honey iced tea about what goes on in suburbs. I hope there's no people like that. We are all in this together. When people realize that, we will be better off, man.
Doctor, why is it okay to use blasphemy and that kind of language on the Senate floor? Why is all of a sudden why are people in hoodies? Why is there an evolution of decorum too? All it does is undermine the credibility.
Absolutely. We've lost our class and our integrity. And Senator Pottymouth here, I think she needs to understand that the reason why the crime is spreading to the suburbs is because these criminals are not being held accountable. They're not afraid. They'll do whatever they want because they know that they'll get out within 24 hours on no bail. And that's why there's a high rate of recidivism. So until we see new leadership once again and have leaders and lawmakers that care about the well-being of our citizens in the community, this is just going to continue.
Let me tell you something. That senator, what's her name? Senator Lothian Johnson, she did that shit for clout, period. She has a following. Her following she is on her, for the lack of better terms, she is on her Reverend Al Sharpton path, where divisiveness is how she's going to get to her promised land. She has a group of individuals who are equally upset as she is, or act like they're equally upset as she is. And when she gives them that attitude and say, F the people in the suburbs, F the people in let me tell you something. This chick, more than likely, either lives in the suburbs or she makes suburban money and is only deciding to stay where she is so that she can play this whole race game because it's going to be lucrative and beneficial to her and her path. She's already decided, I want to go the Reverend Al Sharpton route. Yeah, that's the route I'm going. Sorry, you can't convince me anything else. People from the other side, they're my enemies. They don't understand. That's my story. That's my hill I'm willing to die on. All this other stuff. She's trying to divide and conquer because this is what her path says to do. She's doing this because this is good for her career. That's it. She can care less about anybody else. And those people are the most dangerous kind. Those people don't even really care about the communities that they claim they care about. They're just in it for themselves. And they're trying to start a war with other individuals by saying F the suburbanites, F people in the suburbs. You do realize that when she was saying this, she knew that she was in a room full of people who live in the suburbs. Miss me with all that, young lady.